We interrupt our scheduled holiday season programming to bring you a special bulletin from Norland. In the port city suburb of Blackhole, the capital of the state, populated predominantly by immigrants from Africa and Asia, civil unrest that began this morning has escalated. Militants of the Chebin Front attacked a police station and then stormed City Hall. The mayor has been killed. Blackhole is now almost completely controlled by the Chebin Front, which is comprised of various radical leftist groups and Islamist organizations. Dozens of people have reportedly been killed. Shops and houses have been robbed. Despite the deaths, the government of Norland has instructed police not to enter the rogue districts so as not to aggravate the situation.
The tragic events of New Year's Eve in Norland remain the main news item. In the morning, the leader of an organization that was unknown until yesterday spoke to the militants of Blackhole at a demonstration.
We, the members of Chebin Front, named in honor of our heroic martyrs Che Guevara and Osama bin Laden, are fighting for justice. We have liberated Blackhole from the Norland imperialists, the descendants of bloodthirsty Norsemen, Huns, and Germanic tribes. We are not immigrants. All of Europe was built with our hands. It is they that are the illegal inhabitants of these lands. Henceforth, we declare the independence of Blackhole. Our cause is just. Victory will be ours.
There was a wave of demonstrations in support of Chebin Front around the world. Demonstrations were held in all Western European capitals. There were several attacks on police in France. 2 policemen were killed, and there are also casualties among the protesters.
In Berlin, pacifist and human rights groups held a march of solidarity with Blackhole.
Freedom and independence for Blackhole.
The heroes of Blackhole are the vanguard of humanity.
They are fighting for the rights of all the oppressed. Blackhole, we are with you.
The Union of European Universities urged scientists to stop cooperating with colleagues from Norland. Human rights activists are demanding a boycott of goods from Norland. Demonstrations in support of the Blackhole militants are taking place in Muslim countries. Protesters are demanding that Norland authorities immediately recognize the independence of Blackhole. Several explosions rocked Norland's capital of West Bergen today. A bus bomb exploded near the Parliament building. 18 members of Parliament and several policemen were killed. A powerful explosive device also detonated near the central police station. The building was severely damaged. There were dozens of deaths and hundreds of wounded.
It's a miracle I'm still alive. There were chunks of human bodies flying around me. Those who did this are animals. I hope the authorities will find them quickly.
Norland's Homeland Security Minister gave a briefing on the situation in Blackhole. Unfortunately, in recent years, our society has become hostage to opportunists and bigots who hide behind notions of humanism, freedom, and equality. We will restore law and order in our country, even if we have to crack down.
The Council of Europe held an extraordinary meeting today. After much debate, it adopted a resolution calling on the government of Norland to negotiate with the leaders of the Chebin Front and achieve a compromise solution to the problem.
Responsibility for what is happening rests with the government of Norland. We cannot endanger all of Europe because of Blackhole. The situation can easily spiral out of control. Norland's authorities should resolve the conflict with the residents of Blackhole as soon as possible.
Former U.S. President Barack Obama arrived this morning in Norland to mediate. At the end of the day, the government of Norland and the Chebin Front signed a peace agreement as a result of intensive negotiations in the presence of international mediators.
Taking into account the opinion of our American and European colleagues, we have made considerable concessions. According to the agreement, Blackhole becomes an autonomous region within our state. We will also provide Blackhole with 3 billion euros per year of economic and humanitarian aid. I think this will ensure the future prosperity of the Blackhole. But most importantly, there will be peace in our country again. This is only an interim agreement. Our demands for compensation for years of the exploitation and humiliation of our people have been only partially met, but we will work to ensure that our requirements are fully met. Resolution of the issue of our share in the mineral deposits located on the Arctic shelf has also been postponed.
The agreement between the government of Norland and the Chebin militants came as a relief both in Norland and throughout the world.
Some say it's capitulation, but I honestly do not care. My business is working again. However, the government will now probably raise taxes in order to support Blackhole, but it will be quiet and peaceful.
I think it was a reasonable solution, a compromise acceptable to both parties. These disturbances in Norland could easily ignite all of Europe. The main thing is that now we can return to a peaceful life without fear for ourselves and our loved ones.
Chebin supporters around the world are celebrating victory. Mass demonstrations of support took place in many European cities. Blackhole is a realm of love and peace. Blackhole is the hope of humanity.
The Norland News Agency reports that over the past 2 weeks, the influx of foreigners to Blackhole has increased sharply. There has been a great movement to the region by the revolutionary militants of the Red Ascent Brigades from Latin America. New Qaeda insurgents. Radical European anti-globalists. Maoist Islamists from the Philippines, and the representatives of the World Organization of Nomadic Peoples. In North Korea, demonstrations in solidarity to the Blackhole were taking place.
Our revolutionary Kim V said today that the Korean people wish our ideological brothers speed victory over the dark forces of imperialism throughout the world, and we are ready to provide any weapons in exchange for food.
A scandal erupted today in Norland. Julian Sanage, a sergeant in the Norland Army, published classified material online that lists the names of agents and police informants, as well as disposition plans of Norland's troops. Sanage announced at a press conference before he was arrested that this was done as a blow to American imperialism and to support the freedom of speech. The militants shot the informants for Norland intelligence that were unmasked by Sanage. In addition, Sanage published the address of a secret apartment where Rashid Omar, the head of the terrorist organization New Qaeda, was being held captive by the CIA before his rendition to the US. The ensuing investigation revealed that the detainee had not been warned in advance about his imminent arrest, as required by law. Since the procedure was violated, Rashid Omar was paid monetary compensation for moral damages and released. He left Norland this morning.
Balloons stuffed with explosives were launched today from Blackhole into nearby cities in Norland. This caused explosions and fires in residential areas, and there are reports of wounded. Activists of the ultra-right Nordic Spirit organization rioted in the capital of Norland. They destroyed several Asian-owned businesses. In addition, as usual, they vandalized a Jewish cemetery and threw a grenade into a synagogue. Several passers-by were wounded.
At the meeting of the NATO Council in Brussels, representatives of NATO member countries decided to suspend Norland's NATO membership.
We made this decision based on considerations of the safety of other members of the alliance. We do not want to aggravate inter-ethnic relations in other European countries. In addition, a NATO member country may not be in a state of internal armed conflict.
Today, militants from the previously unknown organization Albanian Jihad made a daring raid across the border from Blackhole at the neighboring university campus. Several houses were burned. 11 hostages were captured. History professor Harold Borg's family also suffered. The bandits raped his wife right in front of him.
I find it hard to speak now. This is a huge calamity, but I'm trying to understand the causes of the incident. These guys had a difficult childhood. They did not get a decent education and grew up in an atmosphere of cruelty and injustice. Despite everything I've experienced, I do not abandon my ideals and faith in the triumph of freedom and equality for all. And I support the progressive forces of Blackhole.
I thank everyone, including my husband, for their support. Even if this persists, I will still be on the side of the oppressed, on the side of the rebels against imperialism and America's global dominance. Long live peace and freedom. Down with globalization. Albanian Jihad militants announced their terms for the release of hostages. The terrorists demanded complete independence for Blackhole, increased food and power supplies, as well as the release of 1,500 militants jailed in Norland. Residents of Norland held a march supporting the hostages.
It breaks my heart when you look at the faces of our kids.
We must do everything we can for the hostages. We must free all the militants. Why do we pay to feed them in prison?
These people are full of good intentions, but they do not realize that once free, the bandits will kill thousands of civilians. It's a terrible dilemma. We can't say yes or no.
As a result of Blackhole's latest balloon bombing of Norland, the mosque in the capital was slightly damaged. This news caused protests against the policies of Norland, with millions of demonstrators in the Muslim countries.
This is an insult to Islam. I'm sure that the residents of Norland themselves blew up the mosque to humiliate and intimidate Muslims.
In many countries, demonstrators attacked the embassies of Norland and other Western countries. They publicly burned the flags of the US, Norland, and Israel.
The Rock in Defense of Blackhole's festival was held in Berlin. Musicians and the audience demanded that Norland stop its aggression. Organizers decided to donate revenues from the concert to a memorial fund in honor of the victims of Norland's aggression. A march of solidarity with Norland's armed forces was held in Norland.
Why does everyone blame us? This is hypocrisy. We are just being sacrificed. Everyone thinks that they will be able to buy themselves peace of mind this way.
Western society has lost the will to resist. We are being led on by a handful of adventurers, bullies, hooligans, and yellow-bellied professors and journalists.
What is proportionate use of force? If they blow up our kindergarten, then we should bomb their nursery?
Observers have reported ever-increasing conflicts within Chebin Front, which has resulted in the organization actually splitting into the Chev Front, which includes the anti-globalists and ultra-leftists, and the Bin Front, which includes the radical Islamists who want to introduce Sharia law and prohibit alcohol and drug use. The food situation is worsening in Blackhole, the breakaway enclave of Norland. Industry is ground to a halt and shops have been looted. People survive due to continuing humanitarian assistance from Norland and the global community.
The Norland Coast Guard detained a ship carrying humanitarian aid to residents of Blackhole traveling from Somalia to the shores of Norland. Activists of the militant wing of the Turkish Peace and Mercy Organization accompanied the cargo. After the crew refused to submit to a customs inspection, a firefight broke out between the militants of the peacekeeping organization and the Norland Coast Guard. 2 human rights activists were killed. and large numbers of people on both sides are reported to have been injured. In the ship's hold, boxes labeled camel's milk were found to contain medium-range missiles.
Zionists planted these weapons on the ship.
Media released a statement from unnamed sources saying that the missiles found during the inspection of the ship carrying humanitarian aid to Blackhole are allegedly of Israeli origin. Jerusalem officials deny these rumors. Israeli Foreign Ministry said that the Jewish state has never intervened and would not intervene in foreign conflicts. Well known that Israel and Arab countries hold very good relationships since Israel Defense Force got a highly accurate particle beam weapon capable of destroying terrorists anywhere in the world.
Some countries asked us to share our cutting-edge military technology. However, we do not disclose our secrets to anyone. We do not know who may get their hands on them. Europe must learn to solve its own problems.
Since yesterday evening, Norland has dramatically stepped up patrols on the borders of Blackhole. Coastal waters are also subject to frequent patrols.
The terrorists had previously used makeshift balloons, but now residents of Norland are coming under mortar fire. We will not allow new shipments of weapons to enter Blackhole. There were protests in various parts of the world against the blockade imposed on Blackhole by Norland.
We will not allow freedom fighters to die of starvation. And they have the right to defend themselves, so they also need weapons.
We cannot end the violence in Sudan, famine in Ethiopia, and executions in North Korea. We cannot go there for reasons of our own safety, but we have the power to prevent the oppression of our brothers in the Black Hole. Norland is still a civilized country, and we can make its government consider our opinion.
There have been several street shootings in Blackhole. Detachments of Muslim mujahideen began fighting Marxist volunteers from Latin America. Observers believe that the cause of the violence is the ideological conflict between the two main factions controlling the autonomous region.
I call upon all brothers to forget their differences and remember who our true enemy is, and turn their weapons against Norland. We will liberate the homeland. Our victory is near. Norland's reactionary government has committed another massacre. There was a fire at night at our sole power plant. We are sure that this is a provocation by the Norland regime designed to break the morale of the heroes of Blackhole. But this will not happen. We will fight until the last bullet, until the last boulder. Our allies around the world who support us in this just struggle will also fight.
Residents of many cities around the world joined spontaneous protests against the blockade of Blackhole. The demonstrators demanded sanctions against Norland. In Brussels, a peaceful demonstration devolved into riots. 15 cars were burned. Many buildings sustained heavy damage. The humanitarian situation in Blackhole has become catastrophic. The population is starving. There is an acute shortage of drinking water.
We need arms and rations. If we are not provided with these, we will reduce the hostages' rations to a minimum. And for the sake of equality and justice, we will also stop feeding Blackhole's children. Let their suffering be on the conscience of the bloody Norland regime.
In California, the All Hollywood Stars, in support of the Territory of Freedom charity concert, was held. The Stars donated the proceeds to build an opera theater in Blackhole.
At the same time, at an emergency session of the UN General Assembly, most delegations strongly condemned Norland's actions. They adopted a resolution recommending that UN members apply economic sanctions against Norland.
A volley of mortars was launched from the territory of Blackhole into Norland. The radius of fire spanned 15 kilometers. a mortar hit a hospital in one of the towns. 14 people were killed. Many countries are sending volunteers to defend against a possible intervention by Norland's army in Blackhole.
I urge all the shepherds to help our brothers in Blackhole. Europe is full of good meadows, and we will be able to graze our livestock there.
We need to move into the fertile European lands. There we can live together and help our brothers in Blackhole.
Any country is our land. The entire earth is our home. We are the ultra-globalists. Since Norland threatens Blackhole, as well as in connection with Blackhole's internal strife, in order to save the Isle of Freedom, our association has called on all the nomadic peoples to move to Blackhole. Forward to Europe.
Millions of nomads heeded the president's call. A large group of Mongolian Chinese riders, so-called descendants of Genghis Khan, has set off from the Far East along a corridor provided by Russia.
Panic reigns in Europe. Crowds of people fearing an invasion by nomadic peoples are trying to reach the airports to fly to Australia, the US, and South America.
NATO held an emergency meeting in Brussels. The generals discussed the possibility of countering the Solidarity campaign. At this stage, they decided to increase patrols on the EU borders.
Europe is under a threat that it has not known since the Huns invasion. Our armies are on high alert, but we do not know whether orders to shoot will be issued. So far, NATO members have not developed a unified approach to the problem. We're waiting for the politicians to decide.
In Pakistan, the Pan-Islamic International Conference ended in a demonstration attended by millions. Religious authorities demanded that non-Muslim rebels be barred from entering Blackhole.
With the help of Allah, we will cleanse Blackhole of infidels, from the godless communists to Buddhists and other non-Muslims. This is holy war, jihad. There will be enough shaheeds for everyone. First Blackhole, then the entire world.
The events in Norland developed very quickly. Advanced detachments of Mongolian Chinese riders have reached Blackhole.
Representatives of the Bin Front declared war on the infidels and publicly destroyed images of Marx, Lenin, Mao, Buddha, Christian icons, and statues of Indian gods. Islamic suicide bombers exploded near the headquarters of the Mongol Chinese riders. 72 people were killed.
The Islamic radicals' vandalism aroused the strong indignation of the nomads. Armed conflicts have erupted in different parts of the city.
The descendants of Genghis Khan, armed with bows, arrows, and swords, attacked the Bin Front headquarters and slaughtered nearly everyone there. The situation in the Blackhole is out of control and fire from all sides intensified.
In order to avoid an escalation of violence and a humanitarian catastrophe in Blackhole, Norland has deployed police and military troops in the autonomous region. Control over the territory was restored in a matter of hours.
We have been waiting for this for a year. In this time, our entire city has turned into one big cesspool and drug den.
In Beijing, China's foreign ministry voiced its view on the latest developments in Blackhole.
We are interested in developing ties with European countries and do not wish to destabilize the situation in Europe. We have ordered the Mongolian Chinese riders to return home and demand that all the other nomadic peoples and other foreign nationals in Norland do so as well.
Thousands of participants in the campaign for solidarity have turned back, according to reports from Norling.
Meanwhile, reports from Russia say that a column of Mongol Chinese volunteers was seen moving back to China.
Today, the delegations from the Republic of China and the European Union met. They signed the agreement on recruitment of 50 million Chinese citizens to work in European industrial and construction companies.
Meanwhile, retailers indicate that the number of customers in the past 2 days is up year over year compared to the previous Christmas holidays.
As usual in our holiday season broadcast, we summoned an astrologer who will talk about what awaits us in the future in 2021.
In 2020, humankind was strongly influenced by the effect of black holes, regions of space with negative energy devouring any light in their path. In the next years, the influence of black hole will grow up.
I want to remind you that today we celebrate the anniversary of the events in Blackhole. Around the world, there are demonstrations commemorating heroes and martyrs of Blackhole.